I've been married for 8 years and went through 2 rounds of IVF, both unsuccessful. I was emotionally and physically drained. Then, one night in mid-October 2022, I had a sudden dream that still sends chills down my spine. In the dream, I was sitting on my bed in the bedroom, with a soft nightlight glowing dimly. The door slowly opened, and my mother-in-law walked in, holding a baby about 7 or 8 months old. The baby was wearing bright red clothes and smiling sweetly. But no matter how hard I tried, I could only see the side of the baby's face. I wanted to get up, but found myself completely unable to move. I couldn't even make a sound. Suddenly, the baby lifted his head. His eyes were glowing, painfully bright, and he stared straight at me. That once sweet smile suddenly didn't seem so innocent anymore. I jolted awake. The clock showed 1:50 a.m. I had never dreamed of my mother-in-law before, let alone a child. A strange unease wrapped around me. I told myself it must be that old saying, you dream what you think about during the day. I had been desperate for a child for so long, maybe I had sensed something. Maybe the child was coming to me. But strangely, I didn't get pregnant that month. Instead, I got sick with a virus in November and became weak like a sheet of paper. I stopped thinking about pregnancy altogether. Then on the night of December 23rd, I took a test on a whim, and it came out positive. Later, when I tried to recall the child's face from the dream, I suddenly realized the baby's side profile looked exactly like the outline of the fetus in my ultrasound. But that wasn't the end of it. Late at night, when everything is quiet, I sometimes hear the sound of a baby giggling softly from inside the storage cabinet that no one ever opens. And I always remember, the baby in my dream smiled so happily. But he never once turned to show me his full face.
My grandparents adored me deeply. They've both been gone for 7 or 8 years now. Until last year. That was the year I got married and moved far away, over 200 kilometers from home. It was a sunny afternoon in early spring, and I was about 2 or 3 months pregnant. I had just finished lunch and was about to take a nap when I heard someone calling outside. I stepped out and saw a snake with vivid patterns slithering slowly past my front door. It moved calmly, almost like it knew exactly where it was going. Before I could react, my father-in-law grabbed a bamboo stick, guided it into a bag, and said, "These kinds of snakes shouldn't be harmed. I'll release it in the fields." That afternoon, during my nap, I had a dream my grandfather came into my wedding room. He wore an old-fashioned marrow suit, looked peaceful but said nothing. He slowly looked around the room, then sat down at the edge of my bed. The sheets were red, I picked them myself. He gently touched the creased fabric at the corner. His expression, it was as if he were inspecting how I was living, or perhaps saying goodbye. I wanted to call out to him, but my throat felt blocked. I could only watch as he slowly stood up, walked to the door, and faded away. I thought it was just a dream triggered by pregnancy hormones. But things got stranger. That Qingming festival, I took my husband back home to visit my grandparents' graves. They had never met him, of course. But that night, my husband dreamed of an elderly woman with white hair standing silently in our living room, watching him all night. When he woke up, he told me he didn't know who she was, but somehow, she felt familiar, like he had seen her before. I showed him a photo of my grandmother. He stared at it for a long time, then softly said, "It's her. She didn't speak in the dream, but her eyes were very gentle. A chill ran down my spine. Could it be, they've been watching over me this whole time?
That year, I was in college and living off campus on the 11th floor of an old but cheap apartment. At around 2 a.m., I got up from my desk to rinse a cup. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught a flicker of movement near the window. I turned, and my heart seized. A woman in a black dress stood by the window. Her hair was so long it nearly touched the floor. She had no face, or rather, her face was swallowed by her hair, a mass of darkness. As if sensing my gaze, she slowly turned her head toward me. No eyes, yet it felt like she was looking. The next second, she floated right through the window, out into the night. It was the 11th floor. I stood frozen, mind blank. Minutes passed before I finally staggered over to shut and lock the window, even propping a chair against it. I didn't sleep a wink that night. The next day, I took leave and went home. My mom brought me to a Thai spiritual master she trusted. He handed me a talisman with a serious look and said, "Paste it above your door, at least a foot higher than your head. She won't be able to enter." I followed his instructions exactly. But that night, I dreamed of her. She was floating silently near the ceiling, spinning weightlessly like a sheet of paper. Her black dress drifted in the air. Her hair swayed. She begged me, "Let me down. The talisman is holding me there. I don't mean harm." I ignored her, pretended she didn't exist. When I woke up, my entire body was drenched in sweat. But after that, she never appeared again. 6 months later, my neighbor Ching Ching suddenly started looking exhausted. She barely slept. "There's a woman in a black dress," she said. "Every night, she appears at my window, crying like she's in pain. She keeps calling out to me for help. I refused her, but she's getting closer. Last night, she was at my bedside." I felt a chill crawl up my spine. I asked, "Is her hair very long?" "You can't see her face clearly." Ching Ching nodded. My roommate and I exchanged a glance. We knew. She was back. I offered Ching Ching the talisman, but she shook her head. "I'm Christian. I can't use this stuff." We didn't insist. It was her choice. A few days later, Ching Ching took a leave of absence and returned to her hometown. She didn't say a word. I heard she fell all right after getting home. Nightmares every day. Her family called in pastors several times before she finally recovered. A year later, she came back to school, switched dorms, moved to a lower floor. As for me, I never saw that shadow again. But even now, whenever I come home late and pass that door with the talisman still stuck above it, I can't help but glance up toward the ceiling. I know she might still be there, just unable to come down.